So you select the latest, the stable release, then you'll proceed from there. And then one thing that is important is when installing, there will be an option for you to include in path. It is down here somewhere. This is not showing well, but there's something called include in path. You're supposed to add it so that you're not having issues. The next thing is on how to install it on Linux. So while you are on your terminal, for instance, here, you just write sudo apt-get install Python. It should work. So like in my case, Python 3, apologies. So in my case, it is already installed. So Python 3 is already the newest version. Yeah, so that's how you install it in Python, in Linux. It's very straightforward. Any question till there? Any question? All right, let's move to the next slide. So here is how do you run Python? So some people usually have challenges. I'm not going to use an IDE. An IDE is an integrated development environment. I'm just going to be very simple and show you from here. So assume you have a Python file. Python files are usually called something.python, something.py. So if it's for adding marks, you can say add marks.py. If it's for registering users, you can say register.py. If it's for an app, you can say app.py. So anything.py is a Python file. Now, assuming you have a Python file, in this case, let me show you a sample. Let's call it hello world. Hello world.py. Assuming you have such, and then we want to print. So if you want to display something, you print it. So print is for displaying. So let's say I'm saying print, my name is Kamau, right? So this is the code, my name is Kamau. When you want to run it, you write Python 3 hello world.py, then you enter. So it says, my name is Kamau. That's how you run Python code. If you have a file called sample.py, you write Python 3 sample.py. If you have a file called school.py, you write Python 3 school.py. However, Python also provides another thing called an interactive shell. So an interactive shell basically means you can write Python code directly. So when I type Python 3, for instance, and I press enter, we are in the interactive shell. So when you see the prompt, the three signs, that means you are typing it there. So when I want to print, I can just say print, my name is Kamau, as simple as that. So my name is Kamau. If I want to print, I am in third year, I can say I am in third year, as simple as that. So if you want to add 2 plus 2, you say 2 plus 2, you get 4. If you want 30 plus 30, 30 plus 30, you get 60. If you want, let's say you want to perform some division and multiplication at the same time, so you can say 30 times 2 divided by 4. But now we'll teach you something else so as to assist you to understand what is actually happening over here. Right. Now, that is the interactive shell. Any question till there? If you have understood, maybe you can react. All right, wonderful. Now, The next one is how to exit. Now, sometimes people type exit, it refuses. But now to exit, you just do Control D. You can do Control D or you type exit with the brackets. Exit with the brackets is now actual exiting. So exit like that. So when you're in the interactive shell, to exit, you just type exit with the brackets like that. So that's how you exit the interactive shell. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is, so here is how we run a Python file. What are values and variables? Now, when you create a real system, chances are high that you want to store data, store different states. If someone has paid an amount, you need to store that amount. If someone has been allowed to pay, you need to store that that person has been allowed to pay. If someone maybe has logged out, you need to store that person has logged out. Now, that's where we have something called values and variables. Now, you can ask, what is a value? Examples of values, let me show you. Let me go back to my interactive shell. 3 is a value. 5 is a value. 20 is a value. 30.8 is a value. 456.90 is a value. True is a value. False is a value. What else? Michael is a value. James is a value. My name is Kamau is a value. All of these are values. Now, the big question is, what is a variable? A variable is a container. Now, looking from here, Bob is a value. We know that true is a value and 35 are values. But now, what is a variable? A variable is a container or that holds the value. So the container that holds the value is the variable. What is in the container, which is what is in the variable, is what we call the value. So how do we declare a value? Now, this is just a simplistic way of saying it. But now, when you are asked what a variable is, let's say in the job, you say a variable is a memory location that holds a value. So the container is a memory location that holds a value. So that's how you will say it. Now, over time, now you will understand the significance, but let's move forward. Now, what are types, examples of, we have different types of values. Different types of values are called data types. So we can refer to values as data if we wish to. So we have different types of data types. Let me show you. We have, let me show you practically before we move there. For example, something like 20 is something called an integer. 20 is something called an integer. Something like 45, it's an integer. Something like 30,000 is an integer. Something like 1,200 is an integer. Something like 456 is an integer. Can someone now tell us what an integer is based on what I've shown? Anyone? Just unmute and speak out.
It's a whole number.
The integers are whole numbers.
Yeah, so an integer is like a whole numbers, yes. Now that you know integers, we have something like 34.8. That is called a float. Something like 1.24, it's a float. Something like 7.89 is a float. Something like 90.78 is a float. Something like 76.545 is a float. So what is a float? Anyone? Just in basic terms, what is a float?
The number with a decimal.
Yeah, a number with a decimal is now what we call a float. But now, when you talk to someone who is knowledgeable, don't talk to them like a float. Tell them it's a floating point number. So in short, it's called a float. That's in short. But in full, it's called a floating point number. Floating point number. Is that okay? Aye, good. Now, the other thing, there's something I'm going to jump. There's another one called a double, but I'm not going to show it here because it's not that important in Python. Maybe in other languages like C++ and C, but now just no float. Now, there's another thing called a string. Now, a string is, for example, Michael is a string. James is a string. He's a boy is a string. Where is he? Is a string. Like Kenyatta Market is a string. Congratulations. Congratulations, sir. Is a string. Now, what is a string? Based on your understanding. What is a string, anyone? Just, this is not a classroom setting, so be free. Anyone what is a string? Peter, you're the only one left with me.
It's a collection of characters.
Ah, wonderful. So a string is a collection of characters. Yeah, so a string is a collection of characters. Good. Now I'm going to, now let me teach you other more. So let's say, for instance, you want to record the names of 5 people, right?
Michael,
How will you do it? Yes.
I have a question. This,
Uh-huh.
I've tried inputting the Python 3 into my terminal, but it's not, I'm not getting the same view as yours. Is it that yours, you installed it or something?
What about Python alone?
Just a moment. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I'm now with you.
All right. It works, yeah?
Yeah.
Should I proceed?
Go on.
Now, let's say, for instance, you need to store, let's say, details of 5 people, right?
Yeah.
Now, you'll say here, Benjamin. You store the second person, Peter. You store the third person, Beldi. And you store the 5th person, Kamau, right?
Yeah.
This is called a list. It's called what?
A list.
This is a list. So a list is a collection of just items. I don't think it's a must for them to be of the same type. Let's try. They don't need to be of the same type in Python. Is that okay? Now that is
Yeah.
a list. Now, there's something called a Boolean. A Boolean is a condition or an affirmative. So, are you a boy? Yes. Are you in university? Yes. Are you in high school? No. Are you active? Yes. So those are examples of Booleans. So for instance, the only Booleans we have in Python are true and false. And true can be represented as, a false can be represented as 0, and true can be represented by anything from 1 going forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when I say, for example, is true, is 0, it will say true, it will say false. Is 7, it will say true. Is 100, it will say true. Is 400, it will say true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So with that in order, so we have only 2 booleans. Is that okay? Now,
Yeah.
what if you want to store details of a person and their marks? How will you store it, in your opinion? We can decide to store it like this. We say Benjamin has Kenya shillings 2,000, right? And then we come here and store Beldi has Kenya shillings 1,000, right? And then we say Michael or Peter has Kenya shillings 1,500. Do you know where we are putting the quotations?
The quotations are for the strings.
Yes, so all strings must have quotations. So anything with a quotation has is a string. So it can be single, it can be double, it doesn't matter. We can decide to say, then we have Kamau. Welcome, Jamie. We have Kamau, and let's say 1,200 shillings. So Jamie, we have looked at a number of things, just the basics. So we have not gone much. We have not gone far. So we have looked at integers, you have looked at floats, you have looked at booleans, you have looked at strings, and so on. Now we are at lists. So a list is just trying to store multiple things. So let's say we are at basics. So if you feel it's too easy, maybe you can listen, or you can wait for the next one. But now we are still here. So we can decide to store them like this, right? Which is okay. However, there's a better way of doing this. The better way is like this. You put something, curly braces like that. Then you say Benjamin has Kenya shillings 2,000. You separate them using a colon. So it becomes a key value. This is the key, this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. So the next one will be Beldi with 1,000. The next one is Peter with 1,500. The next one is Kamau with 1,200, right? That is called a dictionary. The first one was a list. The second one is a dictionary. So dictionaries are basically key values, key values, key values. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Now, let me go to the next one. We'll review it a little bit. This next one is called a set. So we said a list is like that. A dictionary is like that. A set is like this, or a tuple. Now, this one, it stores unique values. Let me confirm that. So let's say, for instance, I'll confirm that. Let's say, for instance, this is a tuple. So let's say we have 20, we have 30, we have 50, we have 50. This is a set, sorry. So a set isn't basically different from a list. So, and we don't even use it much in coding. Let me represent the next one, which is called a set. Let me confirm. Right. Now, how is a set different from all these others? Let me expand. Now, a set basically holds unique values, repetition, and it holds only unique values. Now, let's say, for instance, you want to store let's say you have details of people, but you don't want them to be repeated afterwards. You store them in a set. So let's say we have Jamie, and then we have Kamau, and then we have Peter, we have Benjamin, and then we have Beldy, right? And then we have Jamie again, and then we have lastly Peter. In a set, when we run these, you'll see that all those that were repeated are no longer repeated. So it holds only one value of them. So let's say, for instance, you want to just remove repetition easily, you just use this one, a set. Any question till there? Anyone with a question? If you understood, just do a reaction. Perform a reaction if you have understood. All right. So let me proceed. Now we want to do something called input. So allow me to exit and clear. I want us to learn on how to take input, take user input. It is important. So let me go to my interactive shell again. To take input, you just use the syntax input, and then inside here you put the directive on what you want to be displayed to the user. Assuming you want them to enter their name, if you do like this, they can just enter their name, like Michael, right? But if you put the directive, let's say, enter your name. When you do that, it will say enter your name, Kamau, right? If you say enter your name, you can say Jamie, right? So that's how you take input. So remember we talked about variables. So if you want to store the name of the person, you can say name equals to input. What is your name? When you do that, it will ask what is your name. You'll say it's Peter. And then when you display name, it will say Peter because it was stored in the variable name. Now, assuming you want to take an integer, how do you take integers? You can say name equals to input. What so we can say, for instance, what is how many oranges are there? How many oranges are there? Now, when I say 5 oranges and I display name, it displays 5 with a quotations. What did we say? Anything with a quotation is a
string.
Is a string. Now, when you display type name, it will say it is class string. Now, how do we change it into an integer? So we can say oranges equals to, before you write int like that. When you do that, when you enter, how many oranges are there? We say 10. When you display oranges, it says it is 10. And when you display type oranges, it displays class integer. So you have learned on how to display the type of something. So you just say type something, then it will say which class it is. So this is class integer. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Now, what if we want to take a float? Can you give us a hint on how it will be?
It would be float.
Float, yeah?
Bracket
So we'll say
input.
float. And then we'll say what is the price of oranges. What is the price of oranges? When we do that, you say the price is 10 shillings. When you display type oranges, it will say type class float. So what about string? You just don't do anything, right? But float, converting into an integer. What if we wanted it to be converted to a Boolean? We'll say Boolean,
Boolean input.
just bool, right? Yeah, I will. Now, so this is how Boolean looks like. Bool. So you just write bool. You said if it's a 0, it will be false. Anything not 0, it will be true, right? All right. Okay, clear doesn't work here. Let me exit and then clear and then come back. Any question until there? Any question? Now, allow me, let us create something real. Now, we are going to create a restaurant application. Is that okay? Not a big one, just a basic one. We'll grow with it over time. Let me show you how it will be done. So let me exit. So what we want to create a restaurant application whereby we have a manager who can provide their details, and then this same manager can provide the details of a particular type of food. Is that okay? Now, what are some of the details that you can store about a manager? Examples.
Employee ID.
All right, employee ID. What else? Someone just say it out. Things you can store about a manager. Email address. What else? Her name. What else? What else can you
Salary.
store? All right, salary. What else?
Sex.
Okay, sex. What else? If they're enough, you can say enough. Are they enough?
Yes, enough.
All right, good. What can you store about foods?
Name of the food and price.
Mm-hmm. Name of the food and price. Anything else? Ama those are enough. Quantity. What
Yeah,
else?
or ingredients. Yeah, that's enough.
Okay, ingredients. That's okay. Anything else? That's enough, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's create a Python file that is going to take all of these input. I know it's basic, but let's just, it will help us in building what we want to build. So I'm going to open a file called restaurant.py. Restaurant.py. And in restaurant.py, we are going to just do what we have agreed here. So let me copy it. So we are going to, what is the first step? Is to get the input of the manager, right? I will kick you off. So I will say print manager details. And then I say print, enter your details below. Is that okay? Then I can come and say employer ID or manager ID equals to manager ID. Which data type is it?
Int.
Int. So I say int input. You see, I put brackets, all the brackets before I put anything inside it. It ensures that you do not forget. So int input, then we put the prompt. So sample prompt. So manager ID, like that. And then the next one is name. What data type is name? Name, what data type? Michael, James, Jamie, Peter. What data type is name?
String.
A string. So remember, a string, it doesn't have to put a string back there. So you can say name like that. And you should notice that when I put name, I put some space just for it to be attractive a little bit. I'll show you how it looks like without. Now, when I come here, the next one is email address. Can someone say what type email address is? Email address. So email address is a string. The next that thing is salary. Salary, someone, what data type is it? Salary.
Int.
Yes? Int. All right, int. So I say int, input, this person to enter their salary. What about sex? What data type is it?
Boolean.
Boolean. No. Boolean is true or false? Yes?
String.
String. Wow. So string. So here we have string. Now, we are going to run this code. I'm going to save it. You'll use whatever ID you use, so don't worry about mine. So the file is here, restaurant.py. Let me create a place where we can work without being interrupted. Make directory called session1. Don't worry about this. So we have a file called restaurant.py. Remember, when you want to run a Python file, let me check it once more and see whether it's okay. We have to remove these things at the top. So they are not Python code. Now, when I run, you run Python. Yours can be Python, mine is Python 3. Then you say restaurant.py. Manager details, enter your details below. Manager ID, you say 23. Your name, Kamau. You can say Kamau Ngengi for my case. Email address, kamau.ngengi@gmail.com. Your salary, let's say it's 34,000.
Sex, male.
You have a question?
No.
Sex, let's say he's male. Right? So that's how the program runs. Now, we can decide to improve our program. Apologies. We can improve our program by making it better, just a little bit better. What if we can display this data? How do we display such data? So you can decide to print the variables themselves, manage ID, like that. Then you print their name. Then you print the email address. Then you print the salary. Then you lastly print the sex. When we run this program, like that, manage ID, like that one, name, Jamie, email address, jamie@gmail.com, salary, let's assume it's to 30,000, and sex, female, right? So it prints them exactly, 234, Jamie, gmail.com to 30,000 and female. What if we can make this program to become better so that we say, my name is this one, my email address is this, I earn a salary of this, I am female, right? How can we do that? Let's modify it a little bit. You can come here and say, my name is name. So where it's a variable, you put a comma and you add it like that. So you say my name is name. But remember, you cannot put the full stop like this because the full stop is not a part of the variable. So what do? My name is that, then you put the full stop like that.